Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this evening. Today from Jubilee Health Insurance, we welcome you. Thank you for joining us. If you have a family and friend who wanted to join and they haven't, please tell them to join. My panelists are ready to break down the topic of the day about the importance of health in building your wealth. So we welcome you from Jubilee Health Insurance. My name is Monica Chege. I'm the head of marketing and I'll be moderating this session, and we welcome you. So thank you very much. I'll be introducing my panel shortly so that you know who is in the room. We welcome you again and thank you for joining us this evening. So on my close right is Dr. Musa Misiani. Dr. Musa Misiani is the Chief Operations Officer at Jubilee Health Insurance. I'll read his short bio. He has over 10 years of experience in the medical services management, clinical practice, and research. He's also a medical doctor and an insurer. He has expertise in digital operation processes to enhance customer and workplace experiences. He's a dedicated mentor for men's development, fostering networks and safe spaces. His background is in clinical management, and it will interest you to know that Dr. Musa has worked in hospital before, and he has scientific research. He does tutors in human anatomy. Karibu, Dr. Musa.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you. To the next right, Robert Ochieng, CEO and co-founder of Abojani Investment. I'm sure he's not new to most of you. Mr. Robert has over 15 years of experience in the financial sector and fintech experience. He has facilitated over 100 personal investments sessions in the past 5 years at Abojani Investments. He's an accredited finance facilitator with WealthBox, associate member of Institute of Certified Investment and Financial Analyst. Prior to this, Abojani, he worked at Equity Bank, Gulf African Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, Airtel, and Treasury. He has an MBA from the University of Nairobi, a Bachelor's of Computer Science and Technology. He's also a board member of FutureLink Technologies in Uganda. Karibu sana, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So one thing that stands out about the gentlemen in the panel today is that recently, last year, they were recently voted as top 40 under 40 gentlemen in Kenya from Business Daily. So we are glad to have you. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will start with a short poll. And before we launch the poll, I'd like us to start with some statistics and the reason why we wanted to do this webinar and just put things into perspective. Currently, we know from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, 1.4 million Kenyans are driven into poverty annually due to out-of-pocket expenses and expenditures because of health insurance. So what does that mean? That if you've not safeguarded yourself from health, up to 1.4 million Kenyans every year are pushed into poverty. That is statistics from 2022, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics 2024 Economic Survey. And this amount is approximately a quarter of the total health expenditure in Kenya, which is currently estimated at more than 540 billion annually. So that is a huge amount, my panelists, for people to be paying for out-of-pocket every year. And as we want to begin this discussion, I want us to put up a poll, and we want to see from the people joining us this evening, do you have health insurance? We want to see from the people joining us, do you have a health insurance? Our poll will go up shortly. Just let us know if you currently have a health insurance. It's just a yes or no question, and then we will get into the discussion for the day. So I will go straight to my panelists, and I will invite Dr. Musa. Dr. Musa, tell us the interconnection between health and wealth. So we are saying that this webinar, we want to speak about health and how it supports us in building our wealth and why it is critical as a foundation. So please give us some foundation on that, on the interconnection of these two.
Thanks, Monica, and then thanks everyone for joining us this evening. Quite an important conversation really to have. So one of the factors of production in capital is labor. Labor is entirely dependent on the fact that you are well enough to do your job, well enough to produce. Unfortunately, as a driver of wealth production, if you're not healthy, it's quite difficult for you to be able to make any production. So at a bare minimum, the first level would be, if you're not able to work, you will not be able to create any wealth. And secondly, if you're also not well enough, you will not be able to enjoy the wealth that you've created. Having said that, as an expert, healthcare is one of the fastest ways to get into poverty. And I think you've alluded to it when you're talking about over 1 million Kenyans being driven into poverty every year. Now, that may look like any other statistic, but that's 2% of our population every year just going into poverty because they spend out of pocket. Because healthcare expenses tend to be quite expensive. And if you're not able to safeguard what you've created with your hard work, you may have invested over a long time. And if you're not able to sustain it, it becomes difficult then to be able to grow it further. So in terms of, the old adage that says, health is wealth and so forth. Health is wealth in the sense that you can be able to work, you can be able to enjoy your day-to-day life. You can be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, so to speak. But also just being able to do that production becomes an important factor to consider. And that actually also goes into the way we think about retirement. When we grow old, we start to get more sick, we start getting exposed to more old age illnesses and so forth, and your production tends to get low, and hence why you'd find every other time someone is talking about plan for your retirement early, plan and save early, because at that point you will not have the health, you will not have the energy enough to be able to produce as much as you're doing in your productive years. So basically, that's how I would look at it. 3 levels: one as a factor of production, one as a way to enjoy what you've created, and 3 as a potential pitfall in terms of safeguarding your wealth. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Musa. I like what you said about factor of production. It's interesting that you put into perspective that as you grow older, the reason why we safeguard our retirement is because you don't have the strength at that age to produce like you can now. And it's interesting because we notice that many young people now, they don't take health insurance because they say, I'm strong, I don't need health insurance. But like you rightly put, you need it to safeguard the future because, and Robert is here to take us through some of these plans that you plan to your retirement age and why you need to start now. So I'll start with you, Robert. From where you sit, and when we say there's no wealth without health, as a financial expert, you've been in wealth management, you support families to do financial planning. Tell us, when we say, from where you sit personally, when you say there's no wealth without health, expound that for us.
Yeah, thank you. So what we do at Abujan is that we look at wealth holistically, and there are different tracks of wealth. So I usually say that it's good to have anchors in life so that you're not concentrated. So if you just think it's all about the money, then you might forget about the social aspects of life, the physical aspects like fitness, we have spiritual, so it's important to have that so that you are anchored holistically because they're interrelated. So what he talked about is what we call human capital. So when you are young and ready to go, you are Gen Z, you have a lot of human capital. When you come to work, people know that you can really perform. But as you go along the way, the human capital might be depreciating. So now you need the financial capital to take over. But when you look at the human capital, if you look at the statistics of Kenya and its history, we've shifted a lot to service-based economy. So service-based economy, what someone told me is that wealth is limitless. So you can run out of money, but you can design your life such that you don't run out of wealth. So that's where your mind comes, your skills, your brain, the thinking. So these days, especially things like ChatGPT coming up, the differentiating factor will be how you make your judgment. I remember there's a day that I made a not so good decision, but it's because I was fatigued mentally. So you need to be mentally fit so that now the skills that you have, the experiences, you're able to put them into perspective and then carry out the task at hand, serve your clients and stuff like that. So a professional, basically, you need to grow over time to become who we call an achiever. So this is someone who can be you can trust them with outcomes. I know if I give Robert or Monica something, they're going to achieve certain results. So you need to be mentally fit. And I see people having different perspectives, but I usually say the easiest for me, in my opinion, is just to start with jogging, keeping fit, then you make it part of your habit. Once you build that physical stamina in terms of fitness, then the mind will also be fresh. Yeah. So money is a byproduct of what you can do. And what you can do, it depends on how fit you are mentally, how you are thinking, because most of us, whether you're in business or a professional, you are basically someone who performs certain outcomes. Are you offering a service or a product? And I believe it's very, very important for people to know wealth or money as a byproduct of what we call mental capital, which it really depends on. It's like you as a whole package. If you get better in that space, then you're likely to have more. And I usually encourage people that if you feel like you're earning less money, ask yourself, what have you done in terms of your skills and your network and the people that you connect with? So it's very, very important to package the individual as someone who needs to get better. Yeah, so the mind is really important. And that's why I look at fitness, mental wellness, and health as the thing that will drive the wealth. Yeah, if you don't have health, we cannot be able to deliver and we'll have no money. So it's very, very important. And someone told me sometime that if you are in certain places, there are times that money cannot help. But the you will help you. Yeah, so it's very, very important to see the you as the health and fitness.
It's an interesting perspective there that money is a byproduct of what you're able to do, your mental capital. I like that. That you can build your wealth, but then what do you do with it if you're not fit enough to run your businesses or your empires? It's interesting because the one thing that I feel like is not a respecter of anyone, I think when an illness knocks in any door, it doesn't choose. It doesn't choose that this is the house of this one or this one. Are you a billionaire house or from where? So, and when you start getting treatment, no one remembers you're a billionaire or you don't have this or you don't have this. So I think that's the one thing that we all need to agree that if health is one thing that is a foundation. I'm reading a book, The Diary of a CEO. And out of all the 48 laws stated there, the number one law that they talk about, that is the foundation of everything, is health. Because then you cannot run anything. You cannot run an organization. You will not be able to wake up today. You will not be able to do anything. And I like what you said about mental fitness. It's another way of, because that's what supports you in building your wealth and, investing and all those kind of things. That health is the basic foundation. So Dr. Musa, over to you. And I know in your previous days, you've worked in hospital. I know you've headed the ICU unit in one of the hospitals. And I know you've seen, families coming and challenges and all this kind of things. So tell us from a perspective of where you're seated, give us some examples of how neglecting your health can lead to financial instability.
Thanks, Monica. I mean, the definition of health the World Health Organization uses is, and I love the last bit. It's a long definition, but the last statement is, it's not the mere absence of disease. It's a complete social, mental, physical well-being that actually allows you to perform at your best. And I like what Robert mentioned earlier about, very importantly, mental health. So physical fitness, mental well-being is very key in one, even just maintaining your productivity in your productive years, and also allaying, longer-term problems when it gets to the future where your productivity gets lower with age. We know all that statement. I think all of us know that statement we are one illness away. A majority of Kenyans are one illness away from poverty. And I think the statistics we shared earlier sort of speak to that. It can be quite devastating if you don't prioritize protecting yourself from what us in healthcare finance we call catastrophic health expenditure. And catastrophic health expenditure is driven by out-of-pocket expense. Now, take an example. I worked in a critical care unit for quite some time. And if you do a survey across Nairobi, you'll find that probably if you're paying out of pocket, you need to part with about upwards of 300,000 on average for you to gain an admission into a critical care unit. Then every other day, you're spending between 150 and 200,000 per day. An average critical care admission is about 3-4 days for normal acute conditions. It could stretch, if you have illnesses like cancer, to weeks. I'm sure every one of us here has been in our WhatsApp group where a bill is 20 million, 10 million. And I think from the way we are socialized, we tend to the founding philosophy of this country was African socialism, session of paper number 6. Is it number 2 of 65? No? So Tom Mboya wrote Africa Socialism in the Context of Kenya. I think that's what the title of the paper was. And a lot of our politics and socialization has been driven around the spirit of Harambee, can we build together and so forth. Now, our social fabric is changing. We've been socialized around the fact that, I have a social net around here. So if I fall ill, I have someone to fall back to. Now, we all know how economic times are difficult, not only here, just across the globe. No one really has the disposable income to support each other. And I was having a chat with a friend over the weekend, and they did raise a pay bill for a loved one. I think they raised about 100,000 against a bill of 8 million shillings. If that individual who was admitted had some sort of protection, it goes a long way in allaying that catastrophic expense. So what you will find is people will start, and you see this a lot in families across the country, where the patron or the matron of the family is ill later in their old age, or if they're more in their golden years. And then they start liquidifying assets that they had accumulated over 20, 30, 40 years, which then impoverishes the next generation. So the next generation is starting from scratch. Whereas if you look at other cultures and other countries, for example, wealth is passed one generation and it gets to accumulate over time. And I think Robert will speak to how we can be able to build wealth across generations. Because I had mentioned earlier, healthcare expenditure is quite steep. And especially when it gets to critical illness, it is important that someone thinks about it as a way to protect what they have acquired over time. In my prior experience working in critical care, there are so many families that would attach securities, would attach their title deeds. They would have to go and sell off cattle. They would have to go and sell off vehicles and so forth just to come and settle the hospital bill. Now, that reduces, or rather even changes the social class of an individual. Hence the adage, you're one illness away from poverty. So neglecting the protection that comes from insurance, for example, health insurance, is catastrophic, not only to yourself, and we all, one day or another, human beings are the only creatures that know that they're going to die someday. One day we'll pass to the other realm, and what are we leaving behind? Are we going to have sold everything that we have to get off hospital bills? Or even if you don't pass to the other realm, if you remain and you end up having to manage a complication over time, and then you've sold off everything to sort of a hospital bill, then over time you don't have the capacity to continue sustaining yourself over time. So it's an important aspect for us to remember that without, first of all, having health, which is not merely the absence of disease, you're not able to produce optimally, and you're reducing your years of productivity. That's the first bit. The second bit being that if you don't have a way to protect the wealth that you've created over these productive years, then you're one bill away from actually impoverishing yourself and your generations to come. Yeah.
Wow. You bring in a very important point about how we are cultured as Africans and also Kenyans, the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest reasons, and I see from the poll earlier, I see 63% of our listeners today have insurance, which is good, and 37 don't. And maybe we will get to the ones who don't have insurance to tell us some of the challenges and why perhaps they haven't accessed health insurance, because today we are here to solve that, because we want you to build your wealth, and we want your wealth to last in this generation and generations to come. Like Dr. Musa said, we don't want to impoverish yourself and in generations to come. But it's interesting that it's because out of culture and WhatsApp groups, that's how we are used to contributing to health insurance over time. And I'm sure maybe if you check in your phones right now, someone is contributing towards a certain bill. And like you said, as the economic is getting tougher and priorities are changing, people are not able to support you fully. So maybe one of the things that we should advocate for is, instead of those WhatsApp groups that we are in, let's contribute towards getting a health insurance for this person, so that then when the catastrophic expenditure comes, then the insurance is able to take care of the huge amount that is paid out of pocket. So to you, Robert, I know you do a lot of estate administration, you support families to build wealth, to invest, and you also teach about risk management. And I'm sure insurance is part of risk management. But just from the estate administration and family and building this wealth that you teach people, tell us how you support them in risk management issues so that you also don't corrode whatever you have built over time.
Thanks, Monica. So basically, the way you look at wealth is I usually challenge people to look at their portfolios holistically, and we tell people to look at two big goals. We are journeying towards your financial freedom and home ownership. Then now you look at that as your empire. So we encourage people to actually look at lineage success. What do you want for your family? Yeah. So it's very, very important. So that's where the protection element of risk management comes in. Because you want to be a good custodian of wealth and pass it to the next generation. And to protect the downside, you need to start with an emergency fund, which I believe is priceless. So if you talk about mental wellness, the poor are unhappy, but basically it's because they don't have an emergency fund. So if you have it, at least it solves some of the problems. And we usually say that an emergency fund can convert some problems into mere inconveniences. So if you have an emergency fund of 150,000, it means that a 5,000 problem, 5,000 Kenya shillings problem, we are above that. So at least it filters out the kind of problems that you have. Then the next part is medical or health insurance. So to protect this empowered lineage, they need to look at it. Like, for example, personally, I'm an entrepreneur, and we have SMEs and other people. You left corporate, you used to have the medical insurance, now you're on your own. And basically, at times, you worked so hard. You have maybe some 5 million sitting somewhere in bank account, 6 million. So you should see the medical insurance as protecting that money. Probably the medical insurance can be only 80,000 per annum. So in 10 years, that would be like 800K. But it can help you to protect the 5 million, 10 million, 20 and 60 million. So it's very, very important. Looking at the household wealth, you need to look at things as a whole household and try to get a medical cover that takes care of everyone. So it's just to see, like, if you are Kenya, for example, look at the reason why you have Kenya Navy or Kenya Army. We never used to know why you have until we know how we got ourselves into certain problems. Certainly we realize we need them. It's the same with police. You can trust that Robert, Dr. Musa, and Monica do the right thing, then we mess up. Then you realize you need them for law and order. So that's how you need to see medical insurance. Everything can go well for 20 years, 40 years, 60, but there's just one day in life. We don't know which day or what day. So it's very, very important to have that. And as you plan through the different life stages and cycles, you need to understand, of course, when you have a young family, you're likely to have a lot of expenses, and you plan for that. Yeah. So what I usually tell people, for each goal that you have, life goal, you need to attach some form of protection towards it. So if you want to go for holiday, probably need travel insurance. Don't forget about it, because you're going to have some fun there. So it's just good to have that. If you're planning to have a baby as a couple, you'll be excited. Don't forget what comes with it, because the first time parents, they know it. Come with that. So it's always important to walk that journey of life, but attach the financial implication. You can do whatever you want in life and have fun, but just look at the financial implication. So you look at it that way, then you protect the basket that you're talking about. Probably you're thinking of your journey towards 10 million, 25 million, 1 million. But the protection layer will ensure you stand on that foundation. Yeah. So it's key to see that if you want to grow, and I use the example of boxing, if you are in a boxing ring and you only know how to throw punches and you don't know how to protect yourself, you'll get a technical knockout in the 3rd second. Yeah. So that's how you should see insurance. Yeah. To protect the downside. Then now you can have that empire. I know you have dreams and aspirations, probably for the company that you work for, whether it is Safaricom, Jubilee, and even for our country. Now everyone wants something good for Kenya. But what about you as Robert and your family? It's easy for us to forget ourselves, because with the information age, you tend to be minding a lot of other people's businesses. But what about your business? Because, like personally, I'm saying, if someone were to come to me and they tell me that they're an activist, I'll ask them first 5 questions. One of them would be, what about you? What is your planning? Like, the way they answer this will tell me, is this someone who have consciousness about themselves and their well-being? To the extent that now they should care about me. So for me, I believe that we should always start with ourselves. Yeah, once you've protected yourself mentally, your fit, health-wise, then you'll be able to give more. You can't give us what you don't have. So it's very, very important to look at that when you're planning and see that for your lineage, wherever you want to go, sit on the foundation, then now you are a connector to the next generation. Yeah. If you start as a hustler now, maybe you'll become the dynasty. So it is planned that this is what I want for my family, this is what I want for the generation. So that these tools, it could be investments like money market fund, the insurance package, the infrastructure bonds, and look at it as a basket. So it's always important to have a very balanced view of wealth, and we stand on the foundation of looking at first taking care of the worst days. You're only as strong as your worst days. Yeah, so that's where the insurance now comes in. And then when people look back, they'll say Dr. Musa or Mr. Robert Ochieng made this decision. And because of that, now we are here. Thank you.
Wow, you're only as strong as your worst days. Wow, that's powerful. And Robert has said something here that I've noted, that for every life goal, you need to attach a protection to it. That is powerful. Because then, when you think about it, I don't know if people still do resolutions and you write the goals that you want to do for 2025. So for example, it's the 8th of January, and I'm sure many have a list. They've listed down, this year I want to do this. And strangely enough, everyone usually has something about health. I want to exercise this year. I want to eat better. There's always something about health. So that means that we all know health is important in one way or the other. Whether we actualize it, something else, but we know that. My question and what I'm wondering is, if we all know health is important, then how come we don't take the next step to actually protect ourselves against an eventuality? So for example, when we do our budgeting for the month, and 63% of the people watching today have said they have health insurance. My question would be, is it health insurance because your employer has given it to you, or is it that you've invested it for yourself? It would be interesting to see if you've actually taken it up for yourself. So as you're doing your budgeting for the month, people usually put aside money for car insurance, home insurance. You put money for food, rent, those are essentials, and you tick and you make sure you have it secured. And you even have entertainment money in there sometimes, right? And I know you do financial planning, yes, and you call it sherehe money, right? My question is, how come, well, we know that health insurance is critical, how come there's no line there that actually says, for example, health insurance, to get health insurance for my family or to pay for my premium, I wonder why. And we're going to be putting up a poll shortly. And the question is, what are the things that make you not take health insurance? What are the challenges? What is this thing? Because we all know, and we've agreed that we all know it's critical, it's important, but then what is this thing that makes you not take the next step to actually get the health insurance? Is it lack of knowledge of what to get? Is it the cost? What is it? We'd like to know so that we support you and demystify, and we support you in getting this health insurance, because like Robert said, for every life goal. So if your goal this year is to get a house, to get married, all those goals that you have in your 2025 priority list, you need to attach a protection to it. And the most important protection is your health, because if you're healthy and you're strong, then you're able to build your empire. So the poll is going up. You're going to be telling us what are these challenges and what makes you not take the next step towards actualizing this health insurance while we know it is important. And as we do that, we still invite you to send your questions on the question and answer tab. We will be answering the questions. I've seen some of the questions that have come in, and I'm going to be asking Dr. Musa to take one of this. And the question is SHA a health insurance? And whoever is asking for me. So, Dr. Musa.
Yeah, SHA is, okay, so SHA is the authority. So Taifa Care is SHIF,
Yes.
Social Health Insurance Fund. Yes, it is an insurance fund. But you see, there are different layers to insurance. And there are layers to health financing that private business cannot be able to reach. So SHIF exists to have that basic layer, the first layer of protection that is guaranteed as a constitutional right for every Kenyan. So how do we finance that constitutional right? And I think that's what the government is doing with SHIF, that it's able to offer a minimum layer of protection an acceptable level of protection for a majority of Kenyans. Now, there are expenditures that often would go beyond the benefit packages that are prescribed within SHIF. I mentioned critical care, for example, earlier. There are some types of specialized treatments that may not be sufficiently covered, so to speak, because the benefit package may be limited. And you'll find that, for example, some conditions require quite some long-term treatment course. So whereas government, and rightly so, has put in measures to have a social layer of protection, it is important that anyone who is building wealth and trying to protect that wealth then takes responsibility personally to build a layer of protection beyond what is guaranteed constitutionally. Because health expense, if you're going to fly out abroad, if you're going to have specialized treatment, it most invariably would likely exceed what has been prescribed as a benefit package that the government is guaranteeing. It may be sufficient for a majority of Kenyans, but it may not be sufficient for you as an individual. And if you're thinking about from a capitalist mentality, we're discussing wealth here. So everyone who wants to build wealth really is a capitalist at heart. It's likely that whatever benefits you're looking at as you're building your wealth would be beyond what is prescribed constitutionally to everyone. And sometimes there are levels of comfort that a person who's built wealth is used to. So you find that probably someone wants to be in hospital and wants to be in a private room, wants to have a private doctor, wants to have a specialist treatment outside the country, wants to have a particular way, a particular timing for that. Often what you will find across health systems across the world, where government has guaranteed healthcare, including our own, is there's always a problem of waiting times. Especially in public facilities and so forth. And the classical example across the world is the NHS, which is always touted as the best government guaranteed healthcare system in the world in the UK. But waiting times in the NHS are quite significant. So let's picture a situation where you've gone into a doctor's office and they've told you, unfortunately, regrettably, you have cancer. And then you require surgery. And the next slot available is 3 months down the line. So let's live with you in your mind for 3 months. That's going to be unbearable. Remembering that, at the end of the day, we need to maintain everyone in their optimal mental capacity, physical capacity, for them to optimize productivity before the years of decline come in. So waiting times would be arrested. If you have your own private insurer, then you're able to actually schedule at your own convenience as fast as possible and so forth. So there are advantages and disadvantages to this, but generally the simple answer to whether SHIF is an insurance, yes, it is. It's right there in the word. It's Social Health Insurance Fund, but there are limitations to the level of protection such a cover would be able to provide for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. From the poll, I see 73% who voted said that high cost is the number one deterrent of why they don't get health insurance. And coming up closely is also lack of awareness. Okay. And I've seen also a question here saying, one of the reasons that most of us are yet to get health insurance, or any insurance for that matter, is the vague information shared online when one wants to get a cover. For an introvert like me, I need to read the terms through and without pressure, which is never shared online. And to make worse, the monthly amounts you have to contribute are always vague. So I guess it's the awareness, it's the high cost, and even the blueprint and the small print.
Yeah.
So, but I know over the years, insurance companies have really done a lot towards giving more information and education. It's clearly not enough from the responses. Yeah. And even the question of high cost, which is the number one question here, which is the biggest concern. I know, for example, at Jubilee Health Insurance, we have covers as low as 6,200 per annum for inpatient cover. Yeah. So I don't know what Dr. Musa would say about these concerns. Is it that we are yet not doing enough for people in terms of awareness, the small print, the high cost, because I know there are covers that are very affordable that people can get, but then I don't know if it's the issue of trust or awareness. What do you think?
I mean, part of it is historical. And the regulator has done quite a bit of work in rebuilding the trust of the public in the insurance sector. Because traditionally, you would imagine that if I take a cover, the inclination of the insurance company is not to pay for my claim when I actually need it. And we were actually having a chat earlier before we started the webinar with Robert on what philosophy guides when you've collected premium and when it comes to paying the claim, it becomes a problem. The fundamental operation of an insurance company is to collect premium and pay claims, not to decline claims. And over time, I think with the regulation changing, and the regulator has done quite a bit of work in standardizing even our policy wordings, how much disclosures we make to our customers and so forth, just to build that trust that this is actually a product that is feasible and it will protect me when I'm well. So if there's a trust layer, secondly, financial education, but we're not Gen Z, so when we were in school, there was a subject called business education, business studies.
Yeah.
And they would teach accounting, you'd see basic ledger, you'd see, and so forth. There was a very small chapter that talks about insurance. The awareness of a majority of us on what insurance really is and what it does to protect wealth is lacking. And we've seen a lot of, at Jubilee, we do a lot of educational campaigns just to not only just, bring awareness around who we are as a brand, but that's what insurance is in general. And I saw last year, and I hope it will continue through this year, the regulator, IRA, actually went around the country, county by county, holding public barazas, just trying to bring that awareness to the public. But there is also there's fundamental knowledge of what insurance is and what it's supposed to do. But there's also awareness of what products exist and how they can be able to help you. You rightly mentioned, I mean, we have products, Jubilee is what we have everything for everyone, so to speak. From a newborn to someone at 80 years old, from someone who is going to pay 20 shillings a day to someone who can be able to afford an international cover that they pay in dollars. The awareness of products, and we've done quite some work just trying to bring that, in the public psyche, that there is something for everyone. Mm-hmm. So when you mention high cost, take an example of the fact that, for example, right now, you could go online to the Jubilee website, click that you want to buy JK, and say, okay, fine, I may not be able to afford a premium of 40,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, but if I was given an opportunity to pay this over 4 months or over 11 months, I would be able to afford it. Then I'll be able to put aside some money that you budget through. We budget, as you mentioned, we budget for car insurance, and I think it's because it's mandatory. You can't legislate health insurance per se. President Obama tried to do that with Obamacare. The backlash was quite significant. People are like, let us do what we want to do with our bodies. If I don't want to insure myself, it's fine. For some reason, health does not feature. And this is why it's insidious. Until you're sick, you're not sick. So you don't remember that you can get sick. And the brain has this immediacy bias that you will only remember by the way, I've hurt my foot. Oh my God, I wish I had insurance at this time, right? But when you hadn't done that, when you were okay, or before you got a man flu, you're largely okay, and then you need to go and buy antibiotics and realize. And always, for some reason, we imagine that healthcare is cheap. I want to challenge those of us who don't have insurance on the call. The next time you have a bad flu and it becomes infected, go and buy a full dose of Augmentin. Then you'll realize, my God, this thing is actually 3,000 shillings for a full dose. It actually disrupts your day-to-day budgeting. It disrupts your money. So, whereas, yes, there are many options of you to be able to access health insurance. You can pay 20 bob a day and be able to get health cover. all the way to, if you're wealthy enough, you can be able to pay this in dollars. Whereas there are those options. But at the same time, look at the opportunity cost, look at the cost, look at the wager. It's like that French philosopher, I think it's called Immanuel Kant, when he's talking about believing in God or not. Do I believe in him and it does not exist? And then if it does exist and I don't, then the wager is heavy. It's the same thing with insurance. Don't buy it and then you need it, or buy it and then you don't need it. Which is the better wager if you're looking at protecting God? Yeah.
Robert, Dr. Musa and I work in health insurance,
Yeah.
and you might be biased. You might be speaking from technical, because we think people know. So tell us from where you sit and from, as an entrepreneur running your own businesses, there's challenges that people have said about high cost, access, trust. From where you sit, are these some of the challenges as an outsider? Let me call you an outsider in this discussion, but looking inward, what are some of these challenges and how do you think we can mitigate them?
Yeah, so as Dr. Musa has rightly put it, awareness is a problem. So at Abuja, we usually have 3 pillars for financial education. We start with the mindset, skill set, and tool set. So the mindset is very, very important, and the individual really has to empower themselves. So one bias that is there, we seem to like our things more than ourselves. Like the car, the house, they get insurance first.
Yeah.
See, when you buy the iPhone, you'll be told there's some insurance cover. I've seen some ads around. Now, if you break the screens, you can get cover. So it's very easy. So you should always know that one of the reasons why, for example, about 80% of Kenyans will have less than what they need for retirement. It's just that bias. So it's very, very important to prioritize yourself and look at health insurance, which is the mindset. The mind is what will drive everything. Then now you get into skill set. So the skill set is where you learn how health insurance works and how it plays into the whole portfolio. Then you come to the tool set. So my personal bias, and I usually like to be biased rather than being objective, because when you are biased, you speak the truth. So my bias, number one, is that your industry is too sales driven. You just want to sell. You've not even asked Robert, who are you? Where are you headed? What are your goals and aspirations? Are you ready now or you are not ready now? Will I come 3 months? So I think that is something that you need to change. So when it is holistic, when you're minding my business, we are really, it is easy to connect. So that's very, very important. So that we see as it is my life, it is my journey, then you're coming in as a partner and not just coming in for the transaction. Yeah, so that is number one. So you really need to move away from the sales driven, and you'll get a lot. As you deal with people, people have a lot of money, and I know many people could afford insurance, but it's the connection. So you really need to be able to connect with people and see they have the aspirations and see how to tell them that the insurance is actually protecting the aspirations. So if you have staff, if you have medical insurance, it's good for your company and even for them, And if you have like your mom, parents, if you love them, you really don't need to expand your definition of love. The love also means that when they're in hard times, you'll come through for them. And that's what medical insurance will do. So if you speak to them that way, like I know people really love their kids. So if you can go through the kid and because of that, they can get medical insurance, you'll be able to connect, you grow and also they grow as a family. So it has to be a partnership. And the second thing which Dr. Musa already talked about is the promise. You're selling a promise. Like my second bias is that I really try to avoid health conversations with our clients, medical insurance, because I'm imagining, let's say I'm the one who has connected them with a provider, and now they're at Nairobi Hospital in the middle of the night. They're unable to reach the player, and then they're calling us. I think the promise needs to come to life. And it's a good thing, because if I'm having a tough time and you come through for me, that you've made a very huge emotional deposit. And I can do referrals and we can grow together. So I think those will be very, very important. And just learning from the other industries like banking, distribution, and communication. One thing that we need to do as insurance companies, in my opinion, be where people are. People are on TikTok. When Gen Z is having sherehes, after the Stanchart Marathon, we usually have sherehe, EBL comes. We should have insurance as well. Just be where people are, where they're having their great moments, the movie shows. So try to be people in different situations. Especially when we are happy, we are likely to be a little bit. The personal guards are lower, like I can listen to you and you can be part of the great moment, so that we just don't see insurance as something that comes on your worst days. So it's very, very important to just try to be where people are. Like if you ask yourself, you have 13.3 million households, how many people can you reach to where they? There's no harm coming to church as well. Like for once, people say that attention span is very short. That's not true. People sit in churches and listen for 1 hour, 2 hours. Yes. So on traffic, where people are, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, so it's very, very important to be where people are, so that we can see as part of day-to-day life. So when you embed yourself that way, I might not be ready today, but I'll have I'll have a mental print that I'm on my way to towards being ready for healthcare, health insurance. So when I'm doing my annual budget, there's something called a sinking fund. So a sinking fund is basically something that you need to pay on an annual basis or on an annual basis, but it's not monthly. So that's where the insurance comes to play. So people are able to do that for car insurance. So we need to add also medical insurance to be part of that. But just try to speak to people to let them know that it's good to take care of yourself first. You're actually more important than that car. You can buy another car if you are healthy. You can buy another phone. So when we prioritize ourselves, I think it will go a long way. But you have to really sort of enlighten us. Enlightenment is where now you see the light consciousness. So that's now where we are lucky. And it's basic human nature. There's someone who told me that, and he has actually shared about augmenting. So human beings by default, we prefer painkillers to vitamins. so it's hard to sell vitamins, keep fit, jog. But now when I'm feeling pain and you told me this is I'll ask, I don't care about the money, just give me. So try to see the angles to come to people, so that you can emphasize it as part of what we need as a household and come in as partners, people that are growing, people call themselves partner for growth, partner for this, but just embed yourself in the household. And the best way to get to a household, what we've seen at Abojani, come at the dinner table. And irrespective of the structure of the family, some people are single. So at the dinner table is one of the places where you can never lie to yourself. You have your most original dreams and aspirations. When it reaches December, you're asking yourself, in 2025, what will I do for myself? So if Jubilee Health Insurance or any health insurance can pop in my mind, as I'm having those genuine conversations, it's very, very important. Someone probably want to take their daughter to the UK and they're having the international medical insurance as part of it, but it's just local universities. So I was surprised when one of my relatives, they want to do internship somewhere. And these days, actually they require medical insurance. I didn't know. So imagine myself where I have that level of ignorance. I knew it last year. So it means why are you not communicating so that families are aware? Because families need to know what they need to know. And so when they're doing their finances, they need to take the serious things seriously. So it's very, very important to just be partners with households, be where we are, educators, and speak our language. We can have all these years of experience. Someone is able to fly a plane to New York. Probably they're an engineer, but we still don't know these basics. For you, it seems obvious, but you need to look at it from a point of view of education curriculum. When I did MBA at the University of Nairobi, they never mentioned personal finance. They just taught how to build your business or other people's business. So you see, there's a lot of minding other people's businesses, but not your own. So I believe if you can engage with us at that level, you paint that picture, try to gamification, visuals, just something that can open our eyes. There are good audios, some might need some dancing, whatever can work, try out, but just
Yeah.
ensure that you're able to connect.
Yeah.
But also come on the good days when we are happy. Let's see some, so it really will help us to know that it's not only about sadness,
Yeah.
but
It's not worst days on.
worst days only.
Yeah. I hear you. Very good points that we've taken, and be on the lookout. We're going to be in your church next time. We're not talking about health insurance. But so that we wrap up this discussion, and I like what you said about painkiller versus vitamins. So people are quick to buy the painkiller, not the vitamins. So Dr. Musa, to you, so what tips can we give for proactive health, for people to take measures to be proactive with their health so that they safeguard themselves against even getting ill and even now, impacting their finances? What are some of the tips that you'd give them, even to add in their 2025 goals, perhaps, just to keep healthy and well?
Yeah, so thanks, Monica. Just before I answer that, something interesting that Robert mentioned earlier, that, we are very heavy on sales, very sales intense. We only come on the bad days. We are lucky that and this is our bias again, we're lucky that we work for an organization that does not see it that way. At Jubilee Health, we only do health insurance. And one of the guiding philosophies that we have is that we sell health. We don't sell sickness. So we have, over time we try to build a relationship with our customers. And I think you must have seen last year, so we started doing what we call an always with you mode of action. Like, we not only interact with customers when they're well, there are those customers that we will take through a wellness journey, and I'm just doing that to pitch over to Monica's answer. When we speak about wellness, again, you're looking at it's called the biopsychosocial model. Your physical existence, your mind, and your social existence. So how do you handle this? There are four main things: rest, exercise, diet, and organize your spiritual pillar. If you exercise regularly, just physical activity pushes the blood around. There are those who get a runner's high. I haven't got one myself. I'm looking forward to get one, but I do exercise. So when you exercise, you get to rejuvenate your body. Again, not very rigorous, because your knees are not. You should not. It's not like you're playing a rugby match every day. But what doctors recommend is at least 30 minutes of exercise that pushes you to cardiovascular exercise, which is largely cardio and running, that makes you sweat. 30 minutes of exercise that if you do that twice a week, then you should be okay. That should be sufficient, if on the lower side. But if you can do it on a day-to-day basis, that would be perfect. Then take a break and rest. We live very intense lives where often it's a day almost connects to another. And we take it almost with pride that I do 18-hour days. And take that, and then you feel like you're proud about it. And you do that for 6 months. It strains your mind significantly. And one of the most difficult illnesses to treat is mental illnesses. Once you set into depression, it becomes very difficult to come out. I was reading one study that says, burnout takes almost 2 years to come out. So we should not take this for granted. So rest is important, and for also spiritual. It's actually scriptural. Rest is important. You take a rest and so forth. Diet. My goodness, we love fast food. If you look at maybe some around Nairobi over December, see how many fast food restaurants we are becoming very Americanized. Our diet was not rich in heavy carbohydrates, a lot of refined salts, a lot of refined sugars. That's not the natural diet. And the tendency of the body is to convert that excess energy into fat and storage. And then over time, you'll start having issues with your cardiovascular health, you start having hypertension. Over time, you gain weight, and if you're not exercising, then it's a double jeopardy. You end up having issues like diabetes and so forth. So you're really lessening and shortening your productive years. You start treating yourself at a very young age for very preventable illnesses. So diet, exercise, rest, and then sort your spiritual pillar. So you have your biopsychosocial, and have social, as part of social capital, maintain social health. I'm not going to give you a resolution for 2025 to say, cut off the toxic people. No, but it will be a good time to refresh and just think about what is useful. What is useful? Be kind to yourself. What is useful? Because all this matters. All this, that model actually sort of tells you the wholesome nature of what defines healthcare, what defines a state of well-being that would be defined as being healthcare. Yeah.
I like that. I hope you guys are taking notes. So you must rest, exercise, spiritual, and social, right? So I hope you're taking notes and you've added it into your 2020-25 priorities. And I'm seeing a couple of questions here, and some I would like to respond to them. There's one that says Jubilee Health per family is well over 50K annually, so I suppose this is a cover, and could be close to 70,000, and you must pay once, and the once is in caps. And then the question is, who can afford? So it's interesting. So I guess it's misconception or lack of awareness. So I'll tell you, if you go to Jubilee Insurance page right now, www.jubileeinsurance.com, and we'll put it up in the chat for you to be able to click the link, we have a buy now tab where you go at the top, you'll see buy now. It's health insurance. You can buy for yourself from wherever you're seated. That cover is our premium cover, and it's called J-Care Medical Cover. J-Care Medical Cover, like you rightly put, you could find that a premium is, say, 70,000 or even 100,000. But the beauty of it is that you do not have to pay once. You have installment options in there. Actually, it's a digital journey end to end. You can start, you put in your details, and you pay in installments, and you close the cover. So perhaps it is lack of awareness, but we have options of paying in installments. And I've said J-Care is one of our premium covers. And we have other affordable health covers. There's someone that is asking about covers for common wananchi. I'm not sure which one is the common one. But I'll give you some options. Allow me to give you some options of some of our covers, because then it's important and people are asking. So what we've done as Jubilee Health Insurance is that we've segmented our clientele and our offerings. So we have covers for as low as 6,200 per year. And these covers are mostly inpatient. And why inpatient is because some people say, I'm healthy, I don't need to go to hospital. And if I'm sick, like Robert said, I'll take a painkiller and I'm fine. So the reason why we came up with Cover Bora is because the one thing that really stresses people is when you are admitted. When you have to land in the hospital for an admission and you have to pay that lump sum amount, and then you have to start looking for friends and family to contribute, that is why we came up with that, especially inpatient cover. And that inpatient cover means that as soon as you land in hospital and you present our card, they can be able to admit you and you can get services. For an individual, 6,200 for the whole year. And you have a limit, I think, up to 250,000. And all these details are on our website. And for our family, the beauty about this cover, we've made it very simple, and seen people complaining that the payment structure is usually complex. So for the Cover Bora, for example, with 12,600 of a family of up to 4, you can get an inpatient cover. Okay, so 12,600, a family of up to 4. Again, it's in our website. It's called Cover Bora, and that's our most affordable cover, but it's purely inpatient. And why inpatient is because that is when the rubber hits the road. That is when you start getting stressed and getting people to come to the WhatsApp. Our next cover, now between the Cover Bora and the J-Care, we have a cover in the middle that is called J-Care Johari. And again, it's in our website, and the premiums are also there. That now has both inpatient and outpatient cover, and it is a balance. You can get with a minimum of, say, 25,000 for the whole year. Again, you can pay in installments. You can get both inpatient and outpatient. So we have very many different covers, including an international cover that you pay in USD. and that we get cover in 185 countries. So we have all kinds of medical cover. Just go to our website, www.jubileeinsurance.com, go to the health tab, and you will see all our insurance covers. If you need more details, we will put all our details on the chat, and then we can always get back to you, and we can send you quotes, and we can have a discussion. So that is just to say that even common mwananchi, which I'm sure I'm also common mwananchi, Doc, we have a cover for everyone. Whether you're traveling, you're an expatriate, whoever you are, we have a cover for you. So we're going back to our discussion about technology, Robert. We know technology, AI has now come into play, and it is making things easy for everyone. So in terms of financial services, how has technology improved access to financial services, and what are some of the ones you can tell us on how people can be able to access?
Yeah, so what technology does is that it brings convenience. So I usually tell people that for the first contact, if possible, have a way of connecting brands in a live kind of situation. It can be through a webinar, X-Space, try to see the other person, the CEO, the people who are selling this product, so that you're able to connect to align your vision, goals, and aspiration first. Because sometimes I see people have subscribed to certain products, but they're always complaining every day. That means you're not aligned. Like, the goals are supposed to come from you. I said the mindset first. The skill set is to know, where can I get this opportunity? Then you take yourself to that company because you're aligned. So first, alignment is important. Whether it is a physical branch or technology, that's important. Then now for technology, you look at, what do I need? Then look at the options. If it is the health cover, take your time. So the advantage of that is that you'll be able to cross-check, you look at the offering that is there, and then you arm yourself with the right questions. Yeah, so if you ask intelligent questions that are very unique to you, you might even find that some of the products, they can be sort of modeled to your unique situation. So sometimes people just go and pick whatever is there, but technology gives you that advantage of having the information. So the information edge can be overwhelming, but you're not overwhelming if you know what you want. So it's very, very important. Look at your family, what do I need? And then now, when you look at apps and stuff like that, start with regulation. So that is non-negotiable. So if it is insurance, go to Insurance Regulatory Authority. They tell you the insured companies, and they even tell you the performances of those companies. They ensure they have financial strength. So very, very important. So always go to people who have figured out stuff, because you need robust balance sheet and stuff like that. Then now look at yourself. The people are comfortable with websites. The some who are okay with USSD and mobile app. So most of them, you find they have all these three options. So choose the one that speaks to you. Like for me, while I want to do things like when you market with an app, for health, I would want the web portal. Sometimes it says, feel like you're forcing, but for them, they might want the app. So look at yourself and where you're coming from. And if you are the old age, still you can go to the physical branch. But it's important that on an annual basis, I just advise people, there's still power in physical connection. Just talk to the branch, say hi. Sometimes you don't need to ask anything. It just tells you that you're also taking your health insurance or your money seriously. It cannot be that you have time for all other things. I know there's channel football coming up, there's church. We give them all the time. So that's now where you have the misconnection with money. But to encourage, whether it is physical or online, to set aside just 1 hour per month. So 1 hour every month is just 12 hours in a year, which is less than half a day. Honestly. You see, we tend to forget ourselves in money. That's why money is where you have most of the problems. You might know so many things, what is going on, a lot of fun, but just we need to learn how to take serious things seriously. Yeah, not all the times, but at the right time. So due diligence is important. Personal connection with the various apps, because convenience simply means that instead of wasting a whole 1 hour going to town or driving to town, you can actually sort yourself at the comfort of your laptop phone. But I believe now, given the demographics of Kenya, especially young people, they're digital savvy, tech savvy, and all those opportunities. But technology doesn't mean that we are reckless, that we just pick anything that is online. Yeah, be very careful on the links, counter check, take your time. You worked so hard for your money, and we know how the real world works. So because of that, that kind of due diligence still needs to be there. But I think it's a big plus to have the tools online for convenience. Yeah. So it's important to know the brand. I usually say, take your time and understand the brand, what they stand for. Because wealth is a very intimate business. Yeah, it is not like payment. Payment, I don't even know the names of the services. Just pay and it is gone. You swipe your card and it is gone. But remember, for insurance, there's that day that you might need to claim it. So if your people are not aligned, you start having issues. Yeah, so I believe technology will drive growth. And also in that journey, the challenge now to you as insurance companies, embed awareness. Don't assume that you know those things. Is it right or whatever? You can be excited about a product, but you start then the jargon's coming. So you can even do like a highlighter where I can click on it and it explains what it is. Yeah, throughout the journey, so that as I walk the journey, it also comes with empowerment. There are even options. So I might have started thinking that it's a lot of money. Like someone said, 70,000, but 70,000 you can divide by 12. See, and I can even start saving till the end of the year. Then now from next year is when I have my year one.
Yeah.
So not you can always start from year zero where you don't have it. Then when you have the 70K, that one is where year one. Then you start saving towards the 70K. You see, so such ideas you can share with us. Yeah. Just be good teachers, be educators. I know, and a teacher is one of the most trusted people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So if you can empower us with information online, bring the expert and the authority, because the downside of technology again is that these days everyone is an expert in everything. Like personally, I realize that money is too serious to be taken lightly, and that's where Bojani is regulated. Personally, I'm regulated, and our staff who are people are regulated, just to ensure that, like you said, wealth is health. If you lose your money, you go mental. Some of the stresses that people have is because some money somewhere is not adding up. So you want to be a good custodian of that. So I think technology will go a long way in empowering us, getting the service, the product, the experience. Do customer experience, do focus group studies, sit with us and ask us how you see some of your products, so that by the time it is coming out, we are aligned, whether it is a billboard. And it doesn't need to be exaggerated, because I think sometimes people in PR and marketing, they try too hard to have the impressions, the visuals. The people who can afford insurance, people who are serious, they don't need that. They just need to know how it works and they move on. Yeah, so that connection is really important.
Okay, as we wrap up, I see our time is far much spent, but we will definitely respond to all the questions. And I hope you've given out our details on the chat. You please email us, call us. We will support you in closing out on all the questions that you have in case we haven't responded to any. But as we wrap up, I'd like to ask each of you a final question. If there's one actionable step that you would advise the people watching today to take immediately to align their health and their wealth goals, what would that be? One actionable step.
I'm allowed to be biased, isn't
Yes,
it?
you're allowed to be biased.
Buy health insurance. Please buy health insurance. It will protect health.
Okay, buy health insurance, it will protect your wealth. Robert.
Yes, so for me, look at life holistically. So like they said, so when you're planning for your finances, you should just connect that with your life from a relationship point of view, spiritual point of view, career point of view, business point of view. So ensure that in your planning, then you see this as baskets of life, so that you don't concentrate too much on one thing. Yeah, so on that element, you can always start where you are. As you're preparing to be able to afford the health cover, you can start with the basics, like have some morning routine these days. And I'm just trying to ensure that the last person that I can lie to is myself. So every day, like say, I do something for 30 minutes to have some mental strength and fitness, is really important. So when I come to think about the money, I'm fresh and I'm really able to connect with myself. So if you can have those habits, you can have the rituals that are really personal to you. I think it will go a long way to boost your self-awareness, self-confidence, and then the money will come and you'll be able to afford the healthcare insurance. But know that the healthcare insurance, you actually protect what you love the most. That portfolio, like in Abujani, we usually look at 1 million challenge, 2 million challenge, 10 million. The health insurance could actually be protecting the 10 million that you worked so hard for 10 years to achieve, the 1 million that you worked for 3 years to achieve. So look at health insurance as a good friend that is protecting this gem that you worked so hard.
I like that. And as we come to a close, I've seen a couple of questions, people asking from Nyeri where they would get more information. Someone is asking, what's the best health insurance best suited for me? So we will put the email and our number and an SMS number that you can reach out to us to. But we have a couple of branches. We have different branches dotted across the country. They are also in our website. We have a branch in Nakuru, we have a branch in Kisumu, we have a branch in Eldoret. In Nairobi, we are in headquarters here in Upper Hill. We have a branch in Meru, in Nyeri. So feel free to come into any of our offices. Like Robert said, sometimes it's good to just put a human face to this Jubilee Insurance. So you're invited, come discuss with us. If you prefer a call, please call us. Our numbers are there. If you prefer email, please email us. And we will do your due diligence, like Robert has said, and see that Jubilee is the #1 health insurance in the region. With over 85 years, you can be sure we have done something right over the 85 years. And we invite you to come and join us and allow us to support you in your health journey and in building your wealth and ensuring that even as you build your wealth, it will not be eroded because of our health. And Dr. Musa said, if he's going to be biased and advise you one thing, is just you need to buy health insurance. And our promise is that we will walk with you in this journey of health and wealth and ensure that you build a lasting impact for yourself and for generations to come. So from all of us here, we want to say thank you very much. Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope that the discussions were enlightful. We hope that you learned something. Feel free to ask us any more questions. We will discuss them with you. We will share more insights. Visit our website. Talk to us. We are here, and we want to say that we know that everything starts with health, and that is why, as the leading health insurance in this region, we are here to support you, and we are ready to support you. So thank you very much. We wish you an amazing year. And Dr. Musa, last word to the viewers.
Thanks so much for joining. I think a lot of insightful conversations. I want to wish you a wonderful 2025. Just to remember, you are your biggest asset. So take care of yourself, stay healthy, ensure that you protect your health with as much strength as you can this 2025, so that you know you're able to be productive as much as possible. So look at all the aspects of your life, look at all the aspects of your health, as we had mentioned earlier. Take actionable steps to ensure that you stay healthy. And then, we look forward to partnering with you in protecting your wealth. Thank you.
Perfect.
So thank you very much for joining. If you're from Abujani community, you can say hi on the chat. So my last comment will just be to remind us that money is a byproduct of value creation. And to create value, you need the mental capital, which comes with skills, what you have as a package, you as your greatest asset, and then you'll have the social capital. So I wish you all the best, and I hope that you fatten your mental skills, social skills, and have a great year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it from us this evening. Thank you. Good night and God bless.